No, definitely.
Yeah.
But yeah, feel free to go into that. I was going to ask, actually, I will come back to that, but so you work on is it the Ofsted Scrutiny Committee as well?
That's a subgroup.
A
So we
subgroup.
have subgroups of scrutiny committees, and one of them is the Ofsted subgroup.
Does that mean that you both look into Ofsted and how Ofsted behaves, and you teach at the same time? Do you have two perspectives?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I don't chair that committee. I've handed that chairship to another councillor.
Right.
But that's part of our job anyway, is to look into Ofsted inspections. So what we do is when there've been inspections, we look at them and we look at what's good, what's not so good,
Yeah.
and then we think about what are the themes that are coming out.
Sure.
And we contact schools, and that's something that we do. The officers do that all the time.
Yeah.
And then we'll go and visit the schools, the ones that we want to see the most.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. Does that, just trying to think, that's all right, it's cool. Sorry, I'll forget that. Yeah, how do you balance being an educator and a counsellor?
I don't see a conflict really. I mean, I only do that 2 days now, and you can't work in your own authority.
Right, okay.
So, I mean, you could if you're in an academy, because you won't be classed as part of the local authority.
Of course.
But if you're part of state-controlled, I mean, it's very complicated education now. If you were part of the local authority schools, which there are not many of them now, then you couldn't work within one of those schools. But I'm not in the authority, and I'm in FE, so there's no conflict.
Yeah, no, of course. I am. So this might not go in, but I was also a teacher, and I was in an outstanding school. Because it was always outstanding, it was a very good catchment, so the kids were very well behaved, it was very easy to teach. And so Ofsted, when they used to come and inspect us, it was always a half-day inspection. They'd look at the paperwork, they'd visit like three lessons.
They do it through the data anyway.
Right, okay.
Sure. They had the pandemic and they were still doing it, but it's just through the data. So,
is there anything in that, and again, this might not go in because it might be too political, but is there anything that you see in Ofsted where you think, oh, do you know what, if I could hit a magic button and change Ofsted in some way, would there be anything you do to try and make because I think the grading might be, I always felt like we got a free pass and other schools didn't.
Yeah, I think that's the case, but I also think that now, in fact, another councillor, his daughter used to work for Ofsted and become frustrated, no longer works for them.
Right.
The reports now are so bland and so supposed to be parent friendly, but actually they don't really, they're so nondescript that they're very difficult to pick out what they're actually telling you, other than the grade, because they used to be very detailed. And what they've done is the government's just done lots of cuts on Ofsted. That's what's happened. And so they haven't got the time to write the detailed reports. Their story is it's more parent friendly, which I don't accept at all. And I believe that they're political. I mean, they were started in 1992. By the Conservative government, and I don't remember Chris Woodhead, but Chris, there was a lot of criticism at the time that there were, some schools that got a better sort of press than others, and I think it's improved since then. Don't get me wrong, but I still don't necessarily see the value. Other than I do believe that schools shouldn't be left to their own devices. I think you need to have checks and balances, but that's what the local authority does anyway.
Sure. Yeah.
But I suppose they're just another check and balance. That's all.
Yeah, and so we're in North Manchester, and obviously there's kind of some deprivation in the area. How does that affect the schools, and what would you like to see in your local ward?
Well, we've got an outstanding high school, right, Robinson, which I think we need more money. They're always going to need more money.
Yeah.
But to be fair, schools haven't been hit as other services have. And schools have still continued to get quite a lot of money. The problem you've got is the people that are in the parents of the school, of the children in the school, have been hit by universal credit cuts, by introducing that benefit, by housing benefit cuts, particularly there's an article that's been out this week by Jen Williams, about homelessness and about people being priced out of the area. So basically what's happened